What's up, everybody? Marvel the Cross 316 back on another comic book flashback. And today, folks, we are looking at Ultimate Spider Man issue number 73. And today, folks, we're going to be looking at the second part to the storyline Hobgoblin. As we continue to see this story unravel, we're going to see the origin of what the heck is going on with the Hobgoblin. We don't even know who the Hobgoblin is at this point, and we won't end this issue. But what we do see in this issue is a little backstory of what's been going on in the past week in Harry Osborne's life. Now, we recall from last issue that Harry Osborne returned to high school. He surprised everybody that he's back, including Peter Parker and Mary Jane. And we also saw him confront Peter Parker about Mary Jane and the fact that Mary Jane and him were once an item. They were dating. But now we're going to go back a week prior to that event and look what's been going on in Harry Osborne's life. So a week ago, he's been having all these visions of things from his past about the death of his mother. We also see that he's still in Colorado at this point. He's getting therapy and stuff from S.H.I.E.L.D. because his dad is the Green Goblin. He's this murderous lunatic, this genetic freak that killed his mother and has been after Spider-Man forever. And so we see that he continues to have all of these visions, and he's going to then be confronted by none other than Nick Fury himself here. And so we see here that he's going to reveal some information to Harry Osborne exactly about how he can return back to a normal life. And Harry is still confused, and the reason for this is because of all the therapy he's been having. He doesn't understand exactly who his dad is or what happened to him. And finally, Nick Fury is just going to have to cut to the chase and tell Harry exactly who his dad is. He's the Green Goblin. He's that genetic freak, that monster that's on a murdering spree, and he's the one that's responsible for the death of Harry's mother. He said, "He killed your mother, Harry, and he's killed a great many more than that." Harry says, "That's not true. It was a fire. My mom died in a fire." Finally, Nick Fury says, "Kid, I'm just going to, okay, your father genetically mutated himself into a monster that," and Harry can't believe it. And then Nick Fury says, "Kid, for what it's worth, your father was close to greatness. He was a great mind and an amazing businessman. And the experiments he was funding were on the cusp of something truly great. But as the saying goes, almost doesn't count. You're going to have to try to forget about him for now." And Harry says, "How? I have no mom or dad. I have no one." And he said, "I have no one to go home to." But Harry forgets that he has a grandfather. Grandfather Amberson is going to take care of him. And then we reveal here that Harry's dad was worth over $100 million. So he's going to be the richest kid at school. So 6 days ago, we recall how Peter and Mary Jane met Johnny Storm, who is the member of the Fantastic Four, the Human Torch, and how he made his debut in this issue, or in this series rather. But we see that Harry was actually there in the parking lot spying the entire time. And so Harry definitely has been spying on Peter longer than we have suspected here. And then 5 days ago, we reveal here that he's been going over all the legal stuff with his um, legal advisors here about the Oz formula and stuff. And by the time this guy mentions the Oz formula, which is what transformed Harry's dad into the Green Goblin, he continues to have these flashbacks of his mom crying out. And the guy says, "Harry, do you need to take a break?" And then Harry says, "What were you saying about the factories?" And then 4 days ago, he visits the site where the explosion took place. We recall how that explosion is what transpired after Harry's dad, Norman Osborne, injected himself with the Oz formula, and that's what resulted was that huge explosion. 3 days ago, he gets this phone call from an unknown phone call telling him that this person downstairs, and it says meet him outside, without even giving any information to Harry about who he is. He meets him in this car, this black car, and it just so happens to be Mr. Shaw, who used to work for Harry's dad, Norman Osborn. I mean, this guy is driving really fast, and Harry's like, "Where are you taking me, Mr. Shaw?" And he says, "You'll see." Harry says, "Do you know where they're keeping my father?" He said, "No." And then Harry says, "Have you spoken to him?" "No. Kid, I don't know anything about anything. I was told to wait till they let go of you and then to come get you." And then Harry says, "You don't know where?" He said, "How would I know? I worked for your father in a strictly freelance capacity, and I..." Harry says, "You did my father's dirty work?" He says, "I don't know that. I don't know what that means." Harry says, "In our old house, the vent in my bedroom led directly into the vent in my father's office. I heard everything." That gets Mr. Shaw's attention. He said, "What? What did you just say to me?" He said, "I didn't." He said, "I don't know where your dad is. All I know is he gave me the things to do for him and paid me to do them. This is one of them." "Are you going to kill me?" "Of course not. He wants me to show you something. Me or your dad were in the Gulf together. Do you know that?" "No." "He's a genius, you know. Never met another guy like him. Kind of a control freak, though." "I know." "Don't think you do. He had you in hypnotherapy since you were 11 years old." So that's a big revelation there, folks. Harry Osborne has been in hypnotherapy since he's 11 years old. And the excuse is he wanted you to enjoy the fruits of his labor, he called it, to have what he didn't have growing up, for as long as you could. But he knew that the game he was playing and the people he was playing with, he knew eventually that stuff would go down. You understand that? Harry denies the entire thing, but he says, "If you don't believe me, then just look at this." So Harry looks at it and he says, "What is this?" He says, "A cellar door." Then a flood of memories come flooding back into Harry's mind. Everything that transpired, we recall, with his dad, about the battle with Peter Parker, the death of his mother, even Nick Fury and everything Nick Fury did. And Harry begins to weep here. And then Mr. Shaw says, "Your father was a genius. What they did to him." And then the cellar begins to open. He said, "What is that?" He said, "It's a bunker. It was your father's. Now it's yours." And so that is how we end this issue, folks. Things are continuing to progress here in the story. I could tell you that it's going to look like Harry is going to become the Hobgoblin. That's just my theory, folks. Comment down below what you think the theory is. I would like to hear what your theory is on who the Hobgoblin is. I believe it's going to be Harry Osborne, but we'll see eventually as we continue to look at this. We'll be looking at issue number 74 coming up next. But before then, go ahead and drop me a like on this video. Subscribe if you have not, and I will see y'all in the next one.